This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, everybody, and happy holidays. This is Lenny Murphy here with another one of our Green Book CEO series, and today talking to David Roberts, the CEO of SurveyGizmo. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Lenny. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. So now, since it is almost the holidays, we were talking about beforehand that you're in Denver, so you think you'll have a white Christmas? I know you had a white Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we're off to a good start. We got a ton of snow in November and December, and everybody's psyched for the ski resorts and all the things that comes with. So I think we will have a white Christmas.
All right. Well, you know, I'm in Atlanta, and we're just going to be kind of wet and chilly, so the way we always are.
Right.
But yeah. Anyway, so glad that you're here. So David, you and I have not met until just a few minutes ago, and I know you recently became CEO of SurveyGizmo in the past year, I believe.
It's been a year now. It's been a year. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Well, congratulations on your anniversary.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got here, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thanks. Well, you know, this opportunity was really exciting for me. I'd spent my first formative 17 years of my career at Anderson Consulting turned Accenture, and was one of the founding members of our CRM practice. So I feel like I've been in and around a focus on the customer for my entire career. This opportunity is a chance for me to really connect companies to their customers and to be way more customer centric. As I reflect back on all my days at Accenture in the CRM practice, we really were helping sales and marketing organizations run more effectively. And it was sometimes even those were the most customer facing of organizations to really keep that customer feedback and the eye on the customer every single day. So I'm excited about being at SurveyGizmo to do that.
Okay. So then would it be an appropriate assumption that as you look at the opportunities for SurveyGizmo, that it's focused more around the CX space, or are you looking at kind of the broader role of data in driving customer connectivity and customer centricity across the organization within marketing and kind of the operations component of CX?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's really the second of those. So we have built a product that has allowed people to do really creative things. And what we've done by following our customers is found ourselves in all sorts of places where engaging the customer, and you can define the customer as our typical customer or a patient or a vendor or a partner or an employee, people that an organization wants to engage, to be able to draw that voice into how they're running their business and how they're able to adapt and respond to the customer. So we really think of it in a broad way, and we think that customer experience is really around building a business around the customer and not just producing dashboards and insights of what that customer may be telling you.
Okay, so let's step back for a minute. When I think kind of a LUMAscape in my head of the industry, I would associate SurveyGizmo in the DIY survey broad bucket, right? Your competitive set would be Qualtrics, SurveyMonkey, QuestionPro, those companies. First, am I interpreting that correctly in terms of where the company has historically sat?
Yeah, that's our heritage. If you go back to 10 years ago, in our early days of our growth, we very much built a product that was really easy to use and powerful. We put everything out on the web, allowed people to take care of themselves. We provided awesome customer support, which we still do today. And that was really the business model for many, many years. We've grown beyond that, which I'll share more about.
Okay, well, let's build off of that. So one of the things that when I thought about the differentiation between SurveyGizmo and your competitive set is that they, especially let's use Qualtrics as an example, since they're kind of, you know, the big guys after the SAP acquisition, right?
Yep.
Yeah. You know, they were going for the platform play, obviously, and the SAP acquisition obviously reinforced that kind of platform play. The thing I was impressed about SurveyGizmo is that you were looking for extensibility. That the way that the solution was built and architected was to power a lot of different applications that you would never even know SurveyGizmo was underneath the hood, right? So kind of the Intel inside, if you will,
right,
type of model. for research. So now, kind of building off of that and looking at that differentiation today, where are we going now? So you've got this awesome machine that does a lot, and what's the focus for you?
Yeah, I mean, our heritage is our future in many ways. We built a product that was very openly architected. We wanted people to be able to explore and figure out new and interesting use cases they might be able to build with SurveyGizmo. I'll tell you, when I joined early on, one of the analogies I used was that SurveyGizmo was a box of 10,000 Lego parts. We were able to help customers. We were able to help customers go build whatever they could imagine, and there were parts in the Lego box that could leave their kind of imagination unimpeded. And in the early days, when people really wanted to go do that themselves, I mean, market researchers see a lot of value in asking exactly the right question or following exactly the right script, and they like the ability to go invent and create through that process. That heritage and that architecture continues to allow us to provide a lot of strength to people today. But we find as we move into the enterprise and more of our customers, and we serve a third of the Fortune 500, we have many, many large customers. They don't want to as much dig around through every single box of Lego part. They want, the X-Wing fighter, and they might want to swap out Luke for Yoda, but they want something that allows them to get there faster. And we're now delivering solutions that are specific solutions to specific problems that allow them to do just that.
Now, so I never do this, but I have to because of the Lego analogy. If you look to the other side of my office, you see all that? That's where my kids play, and that's a Lego table. So it is filled with nothing but Lego. So I totally get the analogy and appreciate it.
Well, and I have 8 and 10-year-old boys who love their imagination. I mean, they also will go build from their own kits and create the X-Wing fighter. But there's an awful lot of creations that get built from that box of 10,000 loose Lego parts.
Absolutely. Okay. So, well, we can bond about the children of Legos later, or even playing with Legos ourselves. I kind of enjoy it once in a while. But so taking that analogy, and again, looking at the competitive side, right? So you've got Qualtrics very much focused on CX and kind of this enterprise play, and now my assumption around data connectivity between SAP clients and Qualtrics clients. You've got SurveyMonkey, who is still kind of focused on the marketing organization primarily, and in a very structured way with what they do. What is the core focus or core play for SurveyGizmo, kind of looking for that white space?
Yep, great question. So we really want to help customers operationalize feedback. And that's something that the industry's talked about for a little while. I think the way the industry talked about it is provide really insightful dashboards and reporting that allowed you to find what was going on with your customer. The challenge with that is aggregating information. We as humans, as we categorize and aggregate, we look for patterns. And in finding those patterns, we also lose some of the detail associated with what customers are telling us. So at SurveyGizmo, we talk about, instead of capturing data or feedback, doing analysis and then deriving insights, and then taking action, we talk about it in a different way. We say, gather the data and feedback, drive action off the specific instance of the feedback, and then look at the aggregation and the trends, which may drive additional action. But we believe you can operationalize business functions around what customers are telling you and change the way you're doing business. And I can give some examples of that if it's helpful.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Yeah, so we've got a whole bunch of customers who've mirrored what we do around NPS. And I use the most simple of example. NPS is basically a 2-question survey. And the word survey is a little bit limiting, I'll admit. But what we do is we do something with every bit of feedback we receive. If somebody comes out and they rate us a 9 or a 10, which is a high-end promoter in NPS language, we automatically route them to third-party rating services and ask them to share that feedback with those services, people like Capterra or G2 Crowd and otherwise. We also create service tickets for every piece of feedback we receive. There are examples. I have a great example where we were headed to go visit a customer who that Friday had rated us a 0. And they rated us a 0 because they couldn't get their single sign-on solution working. We treat that as an actionable service event. We follow up with that customer, we resolve the issue, and they went from a 0 to a 10. Now, we then may ask ourselves, what about our onboarding or training could we do better to help that customer set up their single sign-on solution correctly from the start? But we've intervened by using NPS as a system of feedback and not just as something that gets aggregated into a dashboard. We've also realized that promoters renew with us at a really high rate. I don't think anyone's surprised about that. Detractors actually renew at a high rate. It's passives that renew at a much lower rate. So we drive our Salesforce activities and our renewal motions and sales motions using that data to help make sure we intervene and help passives get more engaged with us as a company. So in that instance, that example, and we've had a whole bunch of customers who've taken this solution and done the same, we are operationalizing just simple NPS feedback to drive marketing activity, to drive service tickets and service activity, and to drive sales activity, all to improve how we run our business.
Okay. Well, I certainly see where that Accenture CRM background is coming in.
Yes, sorry, I can't help myself.
Yeah, I get it. So, okay, so now let's step back. So I totally get all of that. But the business has also been driving a lot of broader marketing insights components as well. So where does that focus on actionability, on driving actionability as part of your core service offering, how does that incorporate into the broader marketing organization, not just kind of the operational component where I think about CX sitting?
Yeah, well, certainly, all the capabilities that we've provided to market researchers from the very, very beginning of our existence are still there in spades. We still think we have a tool that's as comprehensive and powerful as anyone on the market. We provide those insights and dashboards that allow marketing organizations to understand what's going on with a broader customer base. They can still decide where they're going to drive awareness activity or campaigns or lead generation activities based on what's going on. But we just believe that the dashboards are necessary but not sufficient. That getting beyond CX programs that become an entire overlay to your organization, where these big companies, some you've mentioned, pull all the data into their system to be able to provide that insight. We take a different approach, which is we want to be critical to the whole data capture process. We want to be critical to how our customers are engaging with their customers. But we believe that taking action means putting data or feedback in the hands of people through the systems they use every day. It's not some extra project that a program manager is assigned to try to go influence the organization based on a trend or a finding. It's part of the everyday rhythm that makes companies more customer-centric.
Okay, so we were having another conversation via email on data privacy and the future of data connectivity at the individual level. And let's talk about that for a minute. I think that's a good segue from that vision. So as you think about, well, why don't you talk about your view on that, and then we can build off of it. I know you had a very distinct view.
Yeah, well, what's interesting, and this is true of all of us in our industry, is that unlike an ERP platform or a CRM platform or others, where that decision is generally made top down at the CIO shop, and then it's driven down through an organization around process adherence and control, a lot of us have kind of come up grassroots through various parts of companies. And we end up being the de facto standard within a company for gathering feedback and operationalizing feedback because people like us and they're used to working with us. But what we're now seeing is a lot of these large companies want to make sure that although this democratized software allows organizations to be nimble and solve their own problems at the front line of the customer, they also want to make sure, even though we're shipping a GDPR compliant product, that the use of the product remains GDPR compliant. They want to make sure that our software meets all the information security standards that large enterprises would expect. They want to make sure that learning and development, support, license management, procurement is all being done in the way that this CIO shop or other central group might care about, while keeping keeping their customers, who are the business users, empowered to go innovate and solve things for their customers. So there's sort of this balancing act between democratized software, which we think we are, and centralized governance and adherence. And that crosses not just privacy, but data security and procurement and legal and all sorts of things that big companies expect to see from their enterprise software providers.
Okay, so let's take that a step further. Think about from the individual perspective.
Yes.
So so you talked about the actionability of understanding the discrete data points rather than the large trends. That comes later, right? It's important, but you have the ability to focus in on this specific thing. And to look at that at an individual level across multiple points, not just the survey interaction. That is one piece of things. So do you envision a role for SurveyGizmo to incorporate other data sources? Let's say maybe it's a CRM database. Maybe it is something like I'm working on Veriglyph, or other solutions or DMPs. I even saw that last week that LiveRamp has now launched an individual ID now that's based on blockchain with power for consumers to be able to manage their own privacy settings. Do you see a role for SurveyGizmo or the industry as a whole in playing in that arena as being the linkage point for these multiple data points in a compliant way?
Yes. So a few thoughts on that. One, just like we're strong at integrating out the back of what we're capturing, we also do a really good job of pulling data in context of an interaction with a customer. So we understand where they are within a website experience, or we understand who they are because we know them from our CRM system. And as we engage them, we can engage them in a thoughtful way and use our survey functionality to target them more specifically. And I think that can be very, very powerful. But at the same time, there's also increasing privacy standards around the world. There's talk of California and of the UK, and I don't think this will end in terms of consumers feeling like they want to be able to have the protection of their data. Like all of us in that experience, if we think there's some value that comes out of it, we're going to be much more interested in opting in to companies being able to act based on the feedback we provide to them. The challenge is that this whole feedback or survey world is a bit of a broken contract. We don't really follow through or do anything from the customer's point of view with the data that we collect. So we're not really living up to the responsibility that we've taken on by engaging them and gathering all the information about what they may think about a certain interaction. So what we hope to do is demonstrate that we can close that loop, that we can show that the feedback that's provided actually drives some sort of business response. And I think if we help companies do that, they're going to reestablish that contract and their consumers or customers are going to be a lot more interested in engaging in providing information about themselves and about their businesses.
Preach it to the choir, brother. Preach it to the choir. So I'm going to be conscious of time. What's next for SurveyGizmo? Obviously, Qualtrics got bought for $8 billion, right?
Yeah.
So everybody's like, everything about that. SurveyMonkey went public. You're kind of the next guy on the block for something like that. So as much as you can, what's your vision?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, one of the reasons I joined to lead this company is it's owned by a number of private investors who really, really care about building a great company over the long run. And you can go learn about those people and see their philosophy on the world. There's sort of, we've gotten to a point, I just interviewed, as part of building my executive team, 35 different CFOs to find Jove, who just joined us to run our finance department. And so many of them start the interview with, tell me about the exit. And I think we've gotten to a funny place in the world where at the beginning of an interview process, you're asking about the exit and getting out of the business. And I'm much more interested personally, and our owners are much more interested in building a company that's going to serve our customers for a very long time. And while people say that a lot, in our case, it's totally how we're wired. We have no venture money. We have no private equity money. We really are the masters of our own domain. We're highly profitable. We feel like we can invest in our customers and continue to grow to be the company we need to be for them without going out and selling out or going public. So our mindset over the next, n number of years is just to continue to build a great business and help our customers.
Okay. Now, so there's the other question then is you think about that opportunity of investing, what about acquisitions? Or rather, let me rephrase that question. So if you think about capabilities that you would like to see expanded, that, built into SurveyGizmo that are not necessarily in-house, is there anything that pops in your mind for that? That, hey, we need to focus on this, whether you build it, buy a partner, or whatever. What does that look like?
Well, I'll share a couple thoughts there. One, we're going to remain open-minded to acquisitions and to build our capability that way. I don't think we'll go out and buy revenue, so that won't be our strategy, but we will explore opportunities to add in capability. Our mindset for a long time was we would build everything ourselves, and we've really moved on from that. I want to be able to partner with the best product that allows our customers to get things that they need in concert with our products. So, for example, we're building out specific solutions to specific problems on top of our platform, and we'll ship Tableau workbooks with that because our customers have Tableau implementations and want to just be able to plug it in to the entire workbook of insights they've already got. We don't need to go be the best reporting tool. There's lots of those out there. We certainly have strong reporting capabilities, but we also are perfectly happy to integrate with Domo or Tableau or others to allow our customers to get that broader view. That's the same for capture. We're partnering with Twilio. We're about to launch a product with VoxPopMe to capture video and audio input. We'll continue to partner with the best of breed to be able to supplement what we think our real strength is, and that is in complex data capture and in orchestration to help customers be able to act on their feedback.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. That's exciting stuff. All right, so let's wrap up. As we think about holidays, what are your plans for the holidays? So anything you're looking forward to specifically? Yeah, just you. What are you looking forward to?
So I live in a pretty beautiful place in Colorado, and my family and I will probably spend a bunch of the holidays up in the mountains and taking advantage of snowshoe and cross country skiing and downhill skiing and all the things that the Colorado mountains afford us. I always feel like a week up in the mountains gets me really recharged and ready to go for the new year. And we've got a really exciting 2020 ahead of us. So I'm looking forward to that, to spending time with family and being in the great outdoors.
Very cool. Now, the last thing, exciting 2020. What's the one thing you can share that has you most excited about 2020?
Well, I think really engaging with our customers. Because we were a DIY product for a long time, we kind of left customers on their own. And the good of that was we built a platform that allowed them to go explore. But maybe it's my Accenture heritage, but I really feel like customer service and client service and really engaging in your customers' business problems is the key. And we've got a whole bunch of people who've joined who share that same passion. And I'm really excited to just spend a bunch more time with customers in 2020.
Very cool. Well, David, happy holidays. Thank you for the time. Hopefully we can reconnect maybe this time next year, and let's see how things are going.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
Bye-bye.